Welcome to All Mixed Up. Hey, did you like that video I sent you?
Very much. It was awesome. It was awesome.
We were just chatting before this, and I was like, "We're burning great conversation right now, so we're live now. We're in it."
That was a good rabbit too.
Oh my god, such a good.
That was
rabbit.
a really good rabbit too. You know?
Oh.
Yeah, every time I was like, "Oh, it's over." No, it's back on again. You know.
Yeah, my buddy who the patrons will know, I took a great video, and that was my buddy's first time ever seeing a rabbit race. And the first thing he said afterwards was like, "Dude, I had no idea a rabbit could run like that, and they are way faster than you think." And I was like, "Yeah." And I told him, he said, they got him. And I was like, "Dude, they don't got him until they got him." You know what I mean? Don't ever think they have him caught until they have him in their teeth.
I got buddies that'll have a dog that'll get after him, and they're like, "Yeah, he was right behind him," like a speed dog. And I was like, they only run as fast as they have to.
Exactly.
Exactly. You're really not seeing him get it until, something's really running after him.
Put a greyhound or a whippet behind him in the first 30 seconds. You'll realize how quick they can really move.
Yeah, they can get up and go. And like we said before, there's some that can't be caught,
I totally agree. Yep.
They're too on it, So.
That the patrons and people listening, this the recap of this race is on the Patreon page. It's a tailgate talk with the legendary Michael Sula. It was a great race. It was a great rabbit, but we got a lot going on in this episode. Chad, I'm going to let you take the wheel, brother. I'm just going to sit back and be a super fan here, but you've been up to a lot of fun stuff, man. Why don't you just take it away?
All right. Well, I think one of the coolest things we'd like to talk about on this one is the whole NAFA event, which is an acronym. NAFA stands for North American Falconers Association. It's, real quick, it's just an association to help protect falconers' rights, make sure we can because it's really cool. We get to trap wild birds, hawks, falcons, even eagles under some circumstances now. They've actually recently opened back up the eagle take, so you can trap golden eagles not just randomly like they used to back in the day, but they have to be depredation permits for like sheep farmers in Wyoming and everything. So they get golden eagles that are eating sheep, then one of us lucky falconers can run out there and trap ourselves a beast of a golden eagle, and that's super cool. But anyway, NAFA helps protect that kind of stuff and make sure we, fight for our rights a little bit, and it's kind of cool.
Is there really an anti-falconing community?
Oh gosh, yeah, it's ridiculous. And falconers have done so much. And I'm gonna kind of step on toes here because there's always so many people that know a little bit more about it. So I'm gonna say as little as I can to make sure I don't step out of line at all. But like the peregrine falcon, was decimated early on. I'm gonna again mess up. I want to say 50s, 60s. They were just very low, but it was specifically falconers, people who hunted peregrines recreationally and bred them captively, that played an incredible hand at repopulating, reintroducing massive amounts of peregrines back into the wild. So that really helped us because there's a lot of people that don't touch them, don't look at them, don't do anything. They're wild animals, leave them alone. And they're a resource just like everything else, just like deer.
And when they have an extreme intrinsic or monetary or personal value, they're going to save them. Biggest advocate for the mountain lion was Houndsman. Everyone in the world was trying to exterminate top predators. Houndsman wanted lions on the landscape. That's why, well, it's not the only reason, but it's a huge reason why we still have lions in the West. So, so same
kind of thing.
Yeah, that's crazy. Was it DDT that wiped him out along with other birds?
I think at that point, I'm sure it played a hand, but it was so early on they didn't know, and they just like shotgun troubleshot. They did like, we're going to do these 50 things and oh my gosh, it's getting better, So I think they have a bunch of theories now, I know that, the DDT and all that, that certainly played a hand in it. But if that was all, I don't think they would have rebounded quite as fast. But now they're everywhere. Now we have legal take. Now, this animal that was, endangered, now we can go out, trap them and hunt with them, and then when, we've had our time, 10 plus years with it, and maybe we're getting old or want to do something else, you can reintroduce that bird right back to the wild. You know, that's the cool thing about it,
First time I went hunting with a falconer, I was like, he was like, yeah, I've hunted with this bird. We have an all right relationship. She's okay. I mean, she's been a good bird for me, but it's time to let her go and I want to catch a new one. And I was like, what? Like, that's such a weird thing. I imagine if hounds were like that, you're like, well, Bobo was a good hound and it's time to let him go free. You know, it's like so weird. It's cool though. It's really cool.
There's a certain, ways you have to go about it, get them as butterball fat as you can and reintroduce them to a way in an area they're familiar with. And there's some people that can, you can dump them in an area they're not familiar with. There's just like some little tricks that some people like to do, but there's even some falconers that will let them go on their property, totally turn them back loose, and they don't come home with them anymore, but they'll continue to hunt with them for long periods of time. Like they'll come back and land on the barn, and they'll let their little dog go, rifle through the bushes, and the rabbit will jump out. The hawk will catch it, and they just call the dog off and go back inside. And like
that's
the hawk will eat it and go about his business. So
that's so rad.
Yeah, and then some days it'll just be gone, and you'll never see it again, and it might have moved on, bred, or died. It's cruel out there in the natural world.
For sure.
Without getting too far into it, that's why falconers are allowed to do what they do. It's because let's take like 100 red tails. That first year, 80 of them will die, and then, sexual maturity is 2. But the numbers are, by the time they reach age 5 of that original 100, there'll only be 5 that are left alive. So 80 of them die out of 100, 80 of them die the first year. And then after that, they kind of peter off until they're down to 5, and that's where the numbers, I guess, I don't know, they stopped recording or something like that. But that's why, we're allowed to do what we do, because people are like, oh, you're hurting the wild population. And we're like, no, there was like a 80% chance it was going to die in the next 6 months, because generally speaking, you're going to see them their first year, they're moving around and they're going to die in the next little bit. And then even after that, they're going to pass away. But here I am. I just want to play with it for a little while. This animal that's probably going to die. I'm going to bring it in, feed it, give it a warm place, teach it how to hunt, and then let it go, and when I'm done with it, so it's really hard for them to, tell us we can't use this resource when the numbers are there.
It's a horrible existence in the wild.
Spraying a wing, it's over. They can't fly, you're dead. With us, it's like, okay, give them 2 weeks off, feed them some good stuff. But what's really cool about them is if it doesn't kill them outright, they bounce back from almost anything. Their bones mend really, really well. You just keep them calm and feed them, and then poof, they're back again. So, whereas in the wild, they would have just starved to death on the ground. So
they're just dead now.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Anyway.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, but anyway, falconry is, NAFA does all these things, and I didn't want everybody's tuned in for dogs. I don't want to talk birds too much, but NAFA is, the big National Falconers Association, and every year they have a meet, and that kind of floats around to somewhere in the United States each year. There's some main areas that they kind of hit, on a cycle, and then they bring in a new area every now and then. And this year it was at Lubbock, Texas, and went down and had a blast. And there's every type of raptor that you could really hunt with there. And for us, every kind of hunting dog, pretty much. It's kind of a unique facet. NAFA, for example, only has like about 2,000 members. There's not that many falconers, in the U.S. And of that, there's, about 2,000 members there. And, but all the different ways you can hunt these birds, you get beagles, you get terriers, you get flushing dogs like cockers and Springer Spaniels, and you get pointing dogs from one end to the other. There's even a person that hunts jackrabbits with a sighthound and a coonhound, because he likes to know, he just happened to get into a coonhound, and he likes to hear a lot of voice when the dog finds it. Now it quickly gets left behind, but nobody's confused on whether or not they found a rabbit.
Well, I've hunted with a scent hound looking for hares in the tall grass, and that is really awesome. So I get the concept. I mean, when this scent hound found the hares, all the sight hounds instantaneously knew, and everyone was after it. So it's nice.
And it breathes life into you. The hound dogs screaming get everybody pumped, So. But on that note, like I said, I don't know if I said beagles and then retrievers and Sighthounds, of course, are in there. And I'm missing a bunch. I know it, but like basically almost every type. I even know a fellow that hunts with a pit bull. Now I don't think that dog offers him way more than some other breeds, but it happens to be the dog he has and can't have other ones, and they do it. And it works. And it works. So you can get anything to get out there and help produce game. I mean, on some of the simplest forms, I mean, rabbit hawking is fantastic, like cottontails. But like one of the things that can help you the most getting the rabbits to get up is just get in the bushes and breathe hard. Just like a coyote, like moving around, and the rabbits they move. They get up and flush around when there's a dog sniffing and snorting around and breathing hard in the bushes. So I mean, honestly, if a dog just gets out there and does that, it will improve the number of rabbits your bird sees.
When I was hunting with Michael, he was in Germany, and they were hare hunting in Germany with weapons, with shotguns. Mm-hmm. And he said that in Germany, they walk in a big line and they go hop, hop, hop. And they just like walk along and say hop. And I thought that was super cool. So we were sitting in the buggy. I was like, hop, 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 as we were driving along. It didn't help. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Germany.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And there's even, I've heard some folks say that, some of the native tribes in the U.S. beforehand used to, like when they got access to metals and coppers, they'd put bells or bones or something on their ankles that would rattle around and make noise and help produce a flush as well. I don't know how much. I
need to wear like a bone necklace to just look menacing.
There you go. it would be very menacing if nothing else.
So tell me about the meet. Tell me about the meet. Was it a jamboree? Was it a good time?
Oh man, it's a blast. Falconers are, like most hunters are, to a degree, thrill seekers, like we like to, it's not just so much like specifically with falconers as well as some other types of dog hunting, but I'm talking about falconers right now. There's easier ways to catch game, so when you tie all this together, the husbandry of the bird and the food and the education you have to get and put up with the laws that go along with it and all this, you finally get the rascal and you're going out there and you try it, and some people get right back out of it, but the people that stick with it, man, they're chasing that thrill, that the chase, the hunt. It doesn't even have to catch all the time, you just want the pursuit is just breathtaking and so much fun. And when you get these guys outside of hunting, they're a wild bunch. Some of them can even look like some of them can look like librarian, like a little soft mousy librarian, and like they're not all drinkers or anything like that, but it threw me for a loop one time. I met a little old gentleman that I could have swore was like I said, like a little old librarian who quiet, and after hunting and having a blast time, he had jackrabbit blood under his nails and was like, "Who wants a shot?" They're a great bunch of people, and then like I said, it's not that they're all drinkers. I definitely want to paint that picture, but they all like a good time, good food, good camaraderie, good talking. Yeah, there's a lot of characters. It was a great time. And the NAFA is a big event. There's always vendors coming out your ears. There's not really a PetSmart to go to for bird equipment, like the hoods and the leashes and the anklets that go around the bird. You either got to make it or find another fellow that's good enough at it to make it, So going to NAFA specifically for all the vendors that make hawk furniture is like what it's called. Hawk a lot.
Furniture.
Like falconry furniture, bird furniture, stuff like that. Perches, like transportation boxes and all hoods is a big deal. These little intricate hoods that fit on a bird just so if you have it too tight, it gives little rubs and they get scabs on their lips it's called a gape, but their lips for, lack of a better word to get it across. Or it's too loose and they can see out of it, and then they grab your hand with their sharp feet, when you go to reach for it. So the hoods need to fit just right.
Perfect.
Millimeter, yep. And go ahead.
I think it's really one thing I love about falconry is the mystique. Like I really love how it's like been this thing of royalty for so long. It's like there's just no
kings, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way to not roll up with a beautiful like peregrine with this like beautiful hood on his head, and you just rolling up with him on your arm. You just look like a badass. Like I don't know. I'm over here just I see the allure a lot up to it, and I'm going to ask you a quick question. I don't want to derail it too hard, but you were talking about exciting stuff. What do you think is the most exciting form of hunting with birds? What do you think is the most just high energy, high octane thing? It's your opinion, of course.
Yeah. Honestly, I've experienced a lot of forms of it. There's still a lot. That's the coolest part about, you asked me a question. Now I got to give you a side story to answer the question. One of the coolest parts of falconry is there's so much you'll never touch it all. There's so many different birds and different ways of hunting each bird. You can't do it all.
It's just like hound hunting.
Yeah, exactly. So you just, pick the things you like. And I've done a fair amount of it, or know people that have done these other parts. So it's really hard. I like all of it for different reasons. Like right now, I'm really having a blast with the sighthounds and the long wings, the falcons. That's a lot of fun because you really get to sink your teeth into the chase. It lasts for a while and you get to see all this epic breakneck speed, you're truly seeing a jackrabbit run really fast and the dogs are getting it to go, and then all of a sudden, this bird coming in, double the speed, or more, and so now they're not only running that fast, but now they're dodging at that same speed with something that is faster than them. Now can't maneuver as fast as they can,
Yeah.
And that's what's cool. So all that, you really get to see some exciting stuff at the fastest speed possible. But squirrel hawking is an absolute blast, and that's some of the funnest things. That's what I cut my teeth on, so to speak, with falconry. Was chasing gray squirrels and red squirrels with a red-tailed hawk and my Yag Terriers, and that's a blast. That's like a cat and mouse chase up the tree, down the tree, over. One bailed out, and watching these squirrels bail out of the top of a tree from like 3 stories up and just belly flop on the ground, and there's a red-tailed hawk screaming down behind it like a bowling ball, and they'll hit hard. They'll hit so hard sometimes, and just kill the squirrel on impact, and that's cool. Watching a peregrine stoop out of the sky, the fastest animal on the planet.
I want to see a 200-mile-an-hour dive. You know what I mean? Exploding a duck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, watching because that's it. It looks like you swat this thing. I don't know, just picture like a duck flying down the highway and then somebody hitting it in like some super bike motorcycle going like 150 miles an hour. Just the explosion of feathers, it would just like vaporize the duck and just feathers everywhere. That's what happens. And you hear the crack. That's one of the coolest things when the peregrine starts to dive and it's coming down. All the duck hunters that are listening now will know what we're talking about. When you hear the ducks coming in on the water, you can hear them. They kind of, as the ducks come in, you can hear the wind rustling over the feathers.
That was perfect, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So think about something going like, I don't know, 10 times as fast.
Yeah.
The air sizzles, It was
like, dude, when I heard a merlin fly over me at like 95 miles an hour, it sounded like tissue ripping. Like it was it was crazy. He flew like 8 inches over my head too. It was really rad. It was jingle bells and toilet paper ripping.
There you go. That's pretty accurate. And then the hit, when the duck hits the peregrine, and man, it sounds like somebody's cracking like a fastball with a baseball bat, pow, and you're like, wow, how is everything not dead, So that's really cool. And then, small peregrines on small stuff like snipe, from a shorter distance is, really neat, action-packed, down, up, down, up, down, up. A lot of duck hawking sometimes, most of the time, is like a one-and-done operation, But with the snipe hunting thing, you can get 20, 30 stoops, which is what they call the dive, in falconry terminology, it's stoop. So I don't know, man. It's just regular old rabbit hawking.
Hey guys, everyone, when I asked Chad, what's your favorite? It's all his favorite.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I like it all. It's just regular old rabbit hawking too. It's so carefree and fun, and boom, there's another one. Boom, there's another one. You can come out of the woods with a grip of rabbits, and your dogs are screaming. And I like beagle hawking with a red tail on rabbits as well, because then you get to combine, what a lot of us here love, the chase of the hounds. You get like 4 or 5 beagles and they're lining a rabbit out and starting to put some heat on them. And then the red tail starts chasing the dogs. Like none of them need you. You can sit at the truck and the hawk and the beagles are going to go, and that hawk will follow the beagles. Just like some of the farmers that are listening will know when they're out there turning over the soil, the hawks will come out and circle around them. They're looking for all those rats and mice that come out of the ground when the soil gets turned over, you know?
Yep.
And it's the same thing. If a hawk can learn to follow a tractor, they learn to follow the beagle just the same way. And you'll see some that'll sit there and they'll hear a beagle start to work it out like a chop bark, a little, you know, dup, 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 dup. And then when they start heating up, you know, and you could hear them really start breaking twigs and pushing around, then the hawk will go, okay, he's got one going. And then he'll go check it out. You know,
badass. So okay, I gotta see this.
Difference.
We gotta find some beagle hawking because I loved beagling, and we weren't shooting any of the beagles. I'm sorry, we definitely weren't shooting the beagles. We weren't shooting any of the rabbits, but man, I gotta see this. All right, beagle hawkers, I'm shamelessly plugging this. Reach out to me.
You'll love it. You'll love it, and that's one of the things that I like most about it, about rabbit hawking, because a lot of times you're walking. Oh, the rabbit gets up, boom, doom, it's over. And they either caught it or they didn't catch it, and now you're going to look for another one. But the cool thing about beagles is as soon as they start barking, you're on the chase. You're working on that one. And those dogs will show it to your bird 5-6 times until he gets it, you know? So, like,
that's
that
amazing.
thrill of the chase, you get to spread out, you know?
Yeah, that's what I loved about beagling. It's like, it was a micro rabbit hunt. I mean, we were just, we never moved more than like 300 yards the whole day. And we saw tons of rabbits coming out in the clearings, and the rabbit run across the road. And then 20 seconds later, rah, 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 here they all come crossing the road. And I was like, this is so fun. So anyway, well, I didn't want to tangent too hard, but I had to ask because you were talking about, you know, very exciting styles. And I want to know what you thought, but
I like them all, man.
I can tell, which I need to be more like that.
Yeah. I'd like to do all of it, but you got to kind of pour so much time into one of them. And it's money. Not outrageous. It's really not that expensive. You can make it expensive if you like the fancy stuff. I spent a lot of money on it, man. I like all the toys. Don't get me wrong.
You're like my brother.
But you can get by. And like, I know a guy that every year he traps a red tail. You know, he keeps it in his house on a perch. He uses a welder's glove for a glove. He gets from Home Depot for like chump change, you know, like a little welder's glove. That's his glove. He feeds it what it catches. You know, he'll start off by going and getting like 2 or 3 domestic rabbits, and then boom, 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 they're trained. I caught one. And then now it feeds itself. And he doesn't use telemetry. He can just put a bell on it and keep it. And at the end of the year, he cuts the bell off, lets that one go. And I mean, like, he's out nothing. Like,
yeah, that's a good point.
You know, so it can be super cheap, but you know, we all want the gear and stuff, you know, like nobody wants well, I like the old beat down shotgun, but most people like the fancy one and this and that and the good tracking systems. And they have all that for birds too. I have a Marshall GPS system. So everybody, you know, I got the GPS, the Garmin GPS for my hounds, you know, and I got a Marshall GPS tracking system that'll track my bird around and tell me all kinds of cool stuff like speed, elevation, climb rate.
I bet that data is amazing.
Oh, it's fun to geek out on, you know? And
oh my God.
It's a great safety net.
Fastest speed you've ever seen. From what species, and then what species and how fastest speeds?
Fastest I saw, I've heard about faster speeds, but I wasn't there, you know, and those are reputable sources, but I wasn't there. But my Gerfalcon, broke up into just into the low 90s on a jackrabbit chase. Now that was after. Now when she's just chasing, she has it takes a long time to get up that speed. But she went up in the air, you know, like after a swipe, and then went way up in the air, and then the rabbit happened to run downwind, you know, and get way ahead of her. So she had a tailwind, and she was coming out of a dive, and like the planets aligned. Like, I may never get that again, you know?
Oh my God, that's so sick.
But, and then she missed. Like, can you imagine if she had made impact on it, though? I mean,
the rabbit would just explode.
Well, imagine like me being in the car, you know, and then driving like 90 miles an hour. And then as I drive by you, I stick my hand out and slap you in the back of the head.
Yeah, I know that they have amazing like physiologic adaptations for their body to absorb that G-force and shock of like smashing into something. Dude, a peregrine's hitting something at like 150.
Yeah, they go, and it's really hard to replicate that too, because they say that they've recorded peregrine falcons going 240 miles an hour, but it's really hard to orchestrate a need for the peregrine to go faster than that. So we think they can go faster. It's just We have to go up this high and make something fall this fast. And as high as we go, they can pretty much catch up to whatever before, you know what I'm saying? We could throw like a lead cannonball out the thing and they can catch up to them, faster, like it's hard to actually set up a situation because they fall faster than terminal velocity, And a bowling ball isn't going to go that fast if you drop it out of a hot air balloon.
The Falcon is propelling himself forward too,
Bingo. So something else has to be doing that's chasing to actually get those speeds.
Oh my God.
So,
that's so sick.
How do you get that? So my Marshall ticked off at 90, and I have some friends that, will say, hey, that might've been a fluke from the system because I didn't have it quite set on the HD mode. And that is a possibility. But like I said, there was 30-mile-an-hour winds. It blew it down, and had a tailwind. Everything was lined up. She had 600-700 yards chase with that tailwind. So that it's very likely that it happened, but
still badass.
You always wonder.
So did you hunt at NAFA, or did you get a bird out?
I had an absolute blast at NAFA. I brought my Falcon down and my Sighthound and my Draught to help get them up and bark.
Did you bring Possum?
Oh yeah, Possum was there. He did great. And a lot of the guys that do what I do, and I'm not pioneering this by any fashion. That this is one of the oldest sports is sighthound hunting and then falconry, and then they combined them shortly thereafter. So
works good.
They the Middle Easterners did it with Salukis and falcons after some of the desert. Help me out here, Seth. I want to say impalas,
desert hares and desert gazelles, like Dorcas gazelles and Arabian
gazelles and stuff like that. Yeah. And then, so as the dogs are pushing it, the falcon's coming in and either making impact or getting so close it's making the bird dodge and snatch its head around, and then the dogs can overtake it, So even if the bird isn't grabbing the gazelle and wrestling it to the ground, it's hard to run at breakneck speed with dogs chasing you when something's slapping you in the back of the head. Those are all ways to get into it, But shoot, I got so caught up. What'd you ask me, Seth?
I said, did you hunt? Did you hunt?
Oh yeah, I hunted. Heck yeah. I got there and then I caught a jackrabbit right out the gate.
How were the populations?
They were not what they were supposed to be.
Oh, that sucks.
Just like everywhere else, they're way down. But there's some hot pockets if you can find them, and get into them. They're pretty good.
Okay, good.
Anyway, the first field I went to, I hunted for 3 hours, didn't see a single one. And
story of my life.
Yeah. And then 300 yards from the truck, I was on my way back to the truck, making the walk of shame, dragging my feet, and boom, Griff, my Draught bumped one, and then called the game. And then Possum was off like a rocket after him. And then I have my bird on my glove. I carry it around on the glove. Like there's nothing to look at or get into until I get a rabbit up. So it's best to just keep it on the glove and keep the hood on it, And I already have the things called braces. These are the little strings on the back of the hood that you can pull to tighten and then pull to loosen. And I just kind of leave them half loose. So I could, as soon as the dogs bark and the sighthound sees it, I could snatch it off his head. And I just fling him into the sky. I just throw him straight up in the air. He's got it from there. My job is to get the rabbit going, make sure the sighthound's on it, and then get him up. And the bird will automatically look for the sighthound,
so badass.
And then just start giving chase. And then I just sit there and I get this giant grin on my face and try and keep eyes on everything, And so off the dog goes and he starts pushing the rabbit. And then, the bird starts off a little slow. It's made for high speeds, but the type of bird I hunt with is a gerfalcon. It's the biggest falcon, and they're very large birds. Mine isn't tremendous, but that species is known to be the biggest. And so it fires off after it, and kind of takes a little while to get up to speed. But man, when they get going, they're fast, And
they're so beautiful.
Yeah, will overtake the dogs and the bird, going, like what appears to be double the speed. They're just wham, but then at the last second, that jackrabbit, they're incredible at this. They can see behind them, of course, and they will go, okay, I'm ahead of the dogs. All right, here comes that bird. And they know what is chasing them based off of the silhouette and the wing beat. So the type of bird that's chasing them, they will try to evade it differently, you know?
Oh my God.
And yeah, so if like literally, if I threw my falcon up, the jackrabbit would just go sit by a bush because it, I don't know if it knows, but it's instinct, whatever, you know, but it behaves this way when this bird chases it.
Chris Powell, are you listening? That is a superior life form.
So when you know, so this jackrabbit would just stop in a bush if my falcon was coming after it, you know, but with the dog there keeping it running, they, you know, there's more efficient ways to catch jackrabbits, but man, I think it's one of the coolest ways to do it. You know,
I think it's got to be near the top.
Going. and, you know, so the bird's it'll catch up and overtake it. And then as it says, okay, I'm pretty far ahead of the dog, you know, and then here comes the bird, it'll kind of like slow ball itself behind a bush to kind of time, you know, like as the bird's coming in, like, oh, I'm behind the bush. And as soon as the bird passes over the head, wah, the speed's back on again and he flies off again. So, but the bird will throw its wings out and skyrocket and it'll kind of go up 3 or 4 stories up in the air and look over its shoulder. And that's one of the coolest things too, because at that point it did a dodge, right? So it made a hard right, hard left or whatever. And now the dog can cut that corner to speed, you know, to catch back up. And so the dog's cutting the corner and starts putting the pressure back on the jackrabbit again. But the falcon's up in the air. And if you take the time to look at the falcon, he's looking over his shoulder, like, where are you at? There it is. And now he's coming down out of that dive again with all that extra speed and overtakes him for another swing, you know, and then overtakes him for another swing. And eventually, at least with me and the type of falcon that I hunt with, the species and, you know, just her style, they all have their own way of doing things. Mm-hmm. She will do that until... And they will just, the jackrabbit generally goes, okay, I need to run all out. I need to put some distance in between me and this madhouse behind me. And they'll line out and give it everything they got. And that's what my bird loves, because then she'll get in behind it down low. She doesn't like to hit it for whatever reason. I wish she would, you know, but like she wants to fly up behind it and bind to it, grab a hold of it. And when they really get out and run like that, they'll start, you know, if the jackrabbit's gassed, you know, the dog can get up and catch it. But if it's got any life back in it, it generally at that point goes, all right, I'm going to give it everything it got. They drop the ears and they go as fast as they can in a straight line. And then at that point, my bird, and at that point they'll start, it'll start to line out and in open area. And at that point, my bird can like fly right up behind it and grab a hold of it, you know, and
that's
then it's
so sick. Did you get to chase a bunch? Or did everyone get a good chance at a rabbit, or was it pretty slim pickings?
Well, it kind of, you know, so everybody's hunting, so like you kind of break up, you know. Of course. And the guys I was with got into some. Like I said, the first day I got into next to nothing. Then another guy, you know, got a hold of me. I was like, hey, I really want to see what you're doing, and that's the bonus of like having this Falcon Sighthound team. There's a lot of moving parts, you know. So it's a lot of times folks don't or don't want to or whatever, you know, like you don't want to be a guy with a boat. You want a friend that has a boat, you know?
Yeah. That's been the story of my life with Houndsman XP.
Yeah, there you go. So, so a lot of times people are like, hey, I want to see this. I got a good spot. I'm like, yes, you do. Take me. You know? So I did okay. But my bird is big and she only eats like every other day. So, you know, kind of more natural for them, to be honest, to feast and famine. You know, they catch a big thing, they eat on it until it's gone, and then they just sit there fat and happy until they get hungry again, you know? Yep. And that's what she likes. So it was like every other day for me. But I got into them every time I went, you know, not a lot of them, but I got into them every time I went. And the only time I caught once, but lost it, you know? So I went there, hunted 3 times and caught and put game on the tailgate twice. But one time she got knocked off, but it was a really, really cool flight in front of everybody. Like the opposite of what we said before. Like it wasn't a tailwind, but she did some maneuvers, got, you know, pushed off and then got in behind him and just did this epic, you know, like into the wind, you know, like 20, 25 mile an hour wind, you know, like flew it all the way down and you know, got a hold of it and then got knocked off and everybody was gassed. But damn. Yeah, I had a blast. And then I got to go hunt with a peregrine hybrid across that was hunting doves, and then that's just cool as can be, you know.
Is it like aerial chasing?
Oh, it's okay. So this is one of the forms I don't want to give too much away because you'll hear this in the interviews I did with a lot of the folks there. But you kind of drive around until you see some. It's weird. It's like cutting tracks almost. You're looking for doves, and out in, stubble cut, and you can see them up on power lines sometimes. And as you get closer, they'll actually fly out into the field like, oh, don't look at me, and they'll fly out into the field and land. You're like, ha, perfect, And then you put the bird up, and then when the bird's up, the bird's like, I'm never moving until this falcon's gone, And the falcon goes all the way out. Yeah, they hunker down like wonderfully. Like wild game acts totally different when there's a falcon around. Squirrels act different, rabbits act different, doves, quail. They all act 100%. It's a natural predator that they understand.
That's why I love hunting with animals. It's amazing.
Yeah,
anyway,
it's neat. So they hunker down, and then you're like, okay, I kind of know about where it is. Let's go out there with a Springer or a Cocker or some kind of whatever, or the bulldog. I got a buddy that used to hunt with an English bulldog, no less.
Oh my God!
And talk about getting in the bushes and breathing hard. Like she had that wrapped up tight. My buddy Yubi and his dog, what was his name? Chubbs, a female English bulldog. But so you just go out there and get it up, and then they're gonna hold tight, and when you finally get in there, they're like, oh my gosh, and the doves make a break for it, and here comes the falcon, from his bird, I think is about 300 400 feet up, is about where she likes to rock, or I think his name's Little Man, and he comes out of the sky and just whop,
oh my God, that's so sick.
Yeah. And so I got to see that, and that was a blast. I've never done conventional long winging like that, which is what they call falcons. It's the shape of their wings. Like short wings are accipiters, like a goshawk or a sharpshin or a Cooper's or something like that, as it can, loosely call it a short wing. And then broad wings are red tails and harrises and stuff like that. And then your long wings are your peregrines and your gerfalcons, because they have these long, pointy, sickle-like wings. So it's the silhouette, the shape you see in the sky, is where these general terms come from. And so I haven't done that. I've never done that, so it's always neat for me to go watch it. And guys like Chris Price and Daniel Murray and Heath Gardner, and these long wing guys are just freaking, they're cool. They're cool. Don't tell them that, because they got a big head. They'll get really snobby. So if you're listening, you ain't nothing, dirt hawking all the way. And then there's the dirt hawking guys. Yeah. And well, that's the difference, because they're
what's dirt hawking? Unless you explain it.
Stuff like rabbits and squirrels, and you're hunting furred game that's more or less on the ground or in a tree, or stuff like that. And,
Gotcha.
And the long wingers hunt feathered game in the sky, but then there's accipiters, your goshawk folks and Cooper's hawk people, and they'll chase quail and just about anything really. Accipiters are they're hell to live with. I don't. I love hunting them. They're some of the most fun you can have on the planet. But outside of actively hunting with them, they're like vicious prima donnas. That just are kind of. They insist on themselves. They want it their way, or they're gonna have a fit. And there you go. And there's some people that are saying, not if you do it my way, but overall, they're more of a pain in the neck than other types of birds, but they can hunt just about anything. You can hunt squirrels, rabbits.
They're so general. You know what I mean? Like, and just, folks, accipiters are your families of eagles, hawks. There's 3 families, I believe, in that like tribe there. But anyway, it's basically hawks and eagles.
And then you have your eagle falconers, the Ostringers, they do their thing, and that's a party. And, so there's all that. And then what I do is kind of like a blending of the two, so you have the long wingers that are hunting, birds, and then you have the dirt wingers that are hunting, whatever fuzzy game that lives on the ground. And I do kind of what I do is a long wing hunting furred stuff. So they call it dirt winging, a little combination of the two, because I'm hunting fur, but with a big snooty falcon. So I can kind of rub elbows with. Yeah. I can kind of rub elbows with both of them. The long wingers think I'm all right because I'm flying a long wing, but I'm getting dirty with the dirt hawkers too. So it's kind of the best of both worlds in my opinion. But
dude, I always joke around about this. I hate golden eagles because they kill so many jackrabbits. But I'm just kidding around, dude. There's just something so badass. Like when you talk about falconing, people of course think of a peregrine because that's the most charismatic one. But when you're letting out something that has a 7-foot wingspan off your arm, and it can take down things as big as like sheep and small deer, that's Dude, golden eagles are so badass.
What a prairie dragon, man.
Prairie dragon. I love that. Oh,
yeah.
That's badass.
They really are.
Man,
and there's guys that kind of do what I, the what I do with the dogs, the sighthounds and the falcon, but they do it with an eagle. There's 3 eagle falconers. Like there's a ton of them, but like some of the more notorious popular falconers are like Michael Clark, Lauren McGow, and the Seffardinis, and they all hunt with golden eagles. And there's, like I said, there's a bunch more, but these are the ones that I know and look up to in my own way. And they hunt. Lauren McGow actually hunts with a litter mate to possum. So out of the exact same litter, she hunts, a golden eagle with a sighthound that's related to my sighthound.
Michael
same litter.
Clark's videos are bad ass.
Yeah, he films. He knows what the heck he's doing with that camera too. He could zoom in from forever away, and he's done it all. And he uses whippets to hunt with his, which is a freaking show.
Oh, they're just so fast.
Yeah, so that's all. That's all cool with the eagles. And then, but the other thing, to get back to the accipiters, like the goshawks, I got to watch a good buddy of mine, Jeff Reddick, hunt his goshawk, a big female. And I'd probably mangle it. I'm not sure if it was a northern or some Siberian cross or whatever, but it was a big old female goshawk chasing after squirrels. And that's just neat because it's like a little bolt of lightning, man. Goshawks can fly backwards faster than I can run forward. It's really neat. They're like little helicopters that are also serial killers. Dude. And then of course the vendors, so that was my event. And I got some videos. I'll put all the videos together and throw it up on the Facebook page, just of like my hunt with Chris Price. So you get to see the falcon stooping at doves, and then some sighthound, gyrfalcon stuff from myself, and then one of the guys that helped get me into it, Greg Rayborn. I'll throw his picture in there, his video in there. He's got 3 sighthounds that he runs with his falcon. I only got 1 right now, but I got some puppies coming. Nice. I'm gonna change that table. But anyway, so I'll throw all that up there. There's some pictures from the event, and some good stuff. I'll throw that all up on the page. But that was the show, man. That was the thing for me. And so many hunts that I didn't go on, like it. There's only so much you can do, and I just happened to do some of these things. So it was a small clip. Next time, maybe we can all go down there and get some more, a bigger bite of these people.
Oh, I'm coming.
There's so much to show.
My wife, she's like in love with falconry. She knows she doesn't have the time to dedicate to it, but she is just like, she loves it. I swear she'd give her to the hounds for the bird. You know what I mean? Like, anyway, I'm going to say this too quickly, folks, get your Google out and listen to all the species that Chad has been saying and go look what they look like, because a Siberian goshawk is a beautiful animal. Like, oh my gosh, it is hauntingly beautiful. It looks so predatory, but its colors are they're unreal. It's such a pretty bird. Oh my gosh.
They're like a white goshawk, which just looks like, if you had to like draw what Murder Bird looks like.
Yeah, dude, those eyes are so piercing. Like,
doesn't it look like you plug them in at night to charge them up for the next day? Like their eyes are just lethal. And then the North American ones they have blood red eyes, like fire hydrant red eyes.
Whoa!
Yeah, those are really cool. But the Siberians are like white, and they got those bright yellow eyes. But then they have like the ghost stripes. So they're those red eyes, off white. Oh. A slightly off-white stripe. I don't know. They're all, there's a million different flavors, and as soon as you fall in love with one, somebody's going to be poking you with another one. And
those blood red eyes are badass on the North American goshawk. That is so cool. Wow.
Yeah, those are pretty neat. I think personally, the North Americans are as pretty as they get, but they tend to be a slightly smaller, whereas those Siberians are massive as far as a goshawk goes, And they could suck up some jackrabbits. They're really cool too. They do. I don't know. Like I said, there's a million reasons to love all of them.
Yeah. Hey, you talk to a lot of folks out there. Why don't you break down your glee behind the mic?
Okay, so I wanted to kind of just show everybody. You think falconry dog. Oh, okay. Well, what's it doing? How's it really? How's it produce and help? Lend to the hunt. And I just kind of walked around. I was like, okay, I know that guy hunts beagles. I know that guy does this, and I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna talk to all these guys. And so I just my questions were real simple. Like, what kind of falconry do you do? And then like how your dog, lends itself to the hunt. How do they contribute? And like how they use them. And this isn't to be, lined out to where the only way it can be done. These were just a handful of people that I grabbed a hold of that are successful in the ways they do falconry with their bird and their dogs. But there's a million different other ways to do it. So this is just one pretty good bite, of it. And I let them tell me about it. And some of the stuff was noisy. There's people everywhere, everybody having a great time, vendors selling stuff and birds and dogs barking, and
folks remember all the terrier trials. So,
yeah. So there's some stuff there's some noise in the background, but that's just part of it. So that's what we asked, man. So let's give it a listen, man.
Let's do it.
All right. What's your name?
David Feliciano.
All right, David. What kind of falconry do you do?
I've done a few different types of falconry. Started out with kestrels on starlings. Flew a Jack Merlin on sparrows. That was fun. And right now I'm flying a Tiercel Harris hawk on rabbits.
All right.
And I fly a lot of urban stuff. I'm in Southern California, so it's a lot of urban falconry.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm looking forward to this. Okay, so how do you incorporate your dogs in your falconry? How do they contribute to your hunt?
So they're essential to what I'm doing right now. I've got 2 dachshunds. They're miniature. They got real small chests, so they fit into real tight places. They weigh about 8 pounds. When I was flying my Jack Merlin, the dogs would flush sparrows from short cover, and right now they're finding cottontail rabbits and flushing them from real tight spaces that I would, not be able to find the rabbits in myself, and even if I knew they were there, I wouldn't be able to flush them up without the dogs. So in the kind of places I'm flying that are real urban, not typical falconry fields, they're essential to producing rabbits for my bird.
Okay, these Dachshunds, these are actually considered hounds. These are hounds,
yes.
Right? This isn't a terrier.
Correct.
This is a legitimate hound. So run me through a hunt real quick with them. So you're out. Where's your bird? What is your bird doing?
So I like to fly my bird from the fist. That's my preference. He could fly from a T-perch or from a tree or a pole or something, but I like to see everything up close and personal, see the action, see a good dynamic flight. So I fly him right off the fist, and I have the dogs work close in front of me, so it's almost like I'm producing a foot flush, but with the dog.
Okay. And then, so your dogs are close by. Are they just busy working the whole time? They're going to give voice when they get on a track, right?
Yeah, they'll give voice if they're on a track, but some of the stuff I'm hunting is rubble piles and trash piles and stuff, and the dogs will know there's rabbits inside of there. Sometimes there'll be multiple rabbits inside that pile, and a lot of times the dog won't even know that rabbit flushed until after the bird's caught it.
Okay.
If the rabbit's right there in the dog's face when it flushes, the dog will run out and course it and will voice the whole time, but it just kind of depends on how that rabbit flushes.
Gotcha. Now, is the bird keying in on you or the dog, or like both of you?
Mostly the dog. So right now I'm flying a secondhand Harris hawk that had never been flown with dogs. Did not like the dogs when he first met them, but after catching one bunny over the dog, he immediately pretty much fell in love with the dog. So he'll just ride the fist and just watch the dog intently the whole time and wait for the flush. Sometimes if he misses, he'll run around trying to see if he can get a reflush himself, and the dog will be right there in there with him, and they're running around together, so he totally trusts the dog.
Okay, and so something that's unique about the dog that you're using, I mean, these are tiny. When we say miniature Dachshunds, these are very small chested dogs. I mean, it's no big deal for them to get in like a 5-inch diameter pipe, or
easily. So my dogs are actually considered Kanichin, is the German word for there's 3 sizes in Germany. We only have 2 in the USA. So the smallest size it means rabbit dog in German.
Okay.
And I believe the chest measurement for a male is 13.5 or 14 inches, somewhere around there.
The circumference.
Oh,
wow. Okay. Yeah, that is small.
So almost anywhere you can fit your arm, that dog can get into.
Okay. And I mean, we're talking like if you piled up a bunch of pallets, they'd be able to thread the needle.
Yeah, he can get into a pallet. He's got to kind of get sideways, but he gets in pallets easily. Small pipes. I like cement piles, so I'm flying some dairies that are being currently destroyed and rebuilt on, but there's just piles of cement everywhere, a lot of rabbits in there.
All right, so you're going to get into this really thick, overgrown area where there's cottontail somewhere in there, and get your bird ready, and then get the Dotson, the mini Dotson out there, and they're going to hunt around until they find odor, then get down in there, start making a racket, and then both you and the bird know something's coming, and then boom, here comes the rabbit, and your hawk starts the show, right?
Exactly. And a lot of times I just watch the dog's tail. When he finds a rabbit, the tail starts going real quick. If he's not totally in the cover, invisible, if he's totally in there, he'll start voicing. He'll push the rabbits out with his voice as well.
All right, now here's something that I know folks are going to want to hear. I mean, these are small dogs. What do they weigh?
8 pounds.
All right, an 8-pound dog. Like, how do you keep the hawk from trying to catch your little dog? I mean, there's jackrabbits that weigh that. Like, how does that work?
Mostly it's a Harris hawk, so they're communal species. They hunt, in the wild with other Harris hawks as opposed to other birds of prey that are solitary. So it's kind of ingrained in them to hunt cooperatively, normally with other birds in the wild, but in falconry they'll figure that out with people or dogs. So it's just a relationship.
All right, and then you do a little bit of training ahead of time just to introduce them, and they get kind of used to seeing them around, and then they learn that they're a means to an end. They help produce.
Yeah, so I did a little bit of introducing him in the house, but the bird was really not fond of the dog. He got a little bit accustomed to it, but I basically just held the bird back. The first time I brought him out, he was baiting at the dog, but I just held him back, waited for the dog to go into cover. Luckily, the bird was able to catch a rabbit on the first hunt with that dog, and he's just loved the dog ever since.
Yeah, once they learn that they're a ticket to the show, they learn they're not too hard to deal with, how many do you have?
I have 2, a male and a female.
Do you run them at the same time, or generally one at a time, or how's this work?
Occasionally I'll run them both at the same time, but I like to run one at a time just because, like I said, I like that really close-up flight off the glove, almost like a foot flush. So the dog's got e-collar training, so he's really reined in. I can just direct him. He'll go where I point. He'll heel until the next spot in between different spots where I might know that there's going to be rabbits hiding. And if I run 2, you don't get such a close slip, so I like to stick with 1. But that being said, if it's a environment where the dogs could potentially track the rabbits, if there's less rabbits or it's less cover so they can track if the hawk doesn't catch a rabbit, then it's nice to run a brace, because one of my dogs is more of a hard hunter, so he's just wanting to get his mouth on a rabbit, and the other dog's a little more oriented towards tracking, so one will jump the rabbit and then the other one might track it down later.
All right, well that's really neat, man. Thanks for sharing with us.
Of course.
All right, well, take care.
Thank you.
Hey there, what's your name?
Joshua Poole.
Joshua Poole. I think we've heard from you before, haven't we?
Yeah, with Seth Hall.
That's right, with Seth. Okay, so hey, what kind of falconry do you do?
Well, I've done a little bit of quite a few different things. Mainly red tails, hawking red tails on rabbits and squirrels, and then I've flown a kestrel on small birds and a Cooper's hawk on birds, and then right now at the NAFA meet I've got a Buddy's red tail that I've just got for 2 weeks that I'm gonna be flying on rabbits out here.
That bird has a fantastic, I would say even beautiful name. What is it actually?
It's actually Bird Reynolds.
Bird Reynolds. It's like passionate and handsome all at the same time.
Yeah, it reminds me of someone.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so how do your dogs contribute to your falconry?
Well, I'm kind of in a segue right now. So my first season, I ran beagles under my red tail, and whenever you're not moving many rabbits, those beagles can really help. They'll strike up a rabbit, get it moving, and then a lot of times the bird won't catch on the first time, so they'll come and crash in on something, and then that rabbit will move off, and those dogs can be really helpful for bringing that rabbit back around. They generally run in a circle, and they can be really instrumental for that kind of stuff. And then right now, I flew a Cooper's hawk at the beginning of the season, and unfortunately, he hit a window, and it's just things that happen. He didn't make it.
Yeah,
but
that's too bad.
But the whole point, I've got bird dogs right now, and they're pretty young, and so the whole goal with them is finding quail to fly birds with, mainly like a Cooper's hawk or a goshawk.
Okay, so you walk around with those on the glove, right?
Yeah, that'd be the main goal, is to do it like that.
And then, so your bird dogs are going to go around and find and point the birds, and then you get into position with this Cooper's hawk on your glove, right? And it kind of allows you to set the table for your best chance.
Exactly, and right now I'm really, since that happened to my Cooper's hawk this season, my dogs are young. I'm just gonna go focus on them this season, try to make real bird dogs out of them, and then kind of regroup next season and put it all together.
That's definitely the ticket. I mean, once you get a bird dog trained, or any hunting dog, falconry dog trained, you can train hundreds, of good falconry birds with them, but getting that dog trained is the first step.
And I really think that first season, I mean, a guy that's one of my mentors in bird dogs, or my main mentor, Ronnie Smith, I mean, he says that first season is the difference between turning a dog into a dog that'll manufacture birds and one that just might come across some and point them. And so I'm hoping if I can really focus on them this season, that'll carry them for the rest of their life, and they'll always be bird finders.
That's right. That's right. So Cooper's hawk on birds with bird dogs.
That's the goal, and I should say there's guys that are doing this right now that are levels above me. I'm segueing into this, and these are goals of mine. But I've not. I caught 2 quail with my Cooper's hawk this season, but it wasn't over dog point. He didn't really like the dogs, and it's something that I'm building towards. Is really what's going on there.
That's fantastic. We all start somewhere, man, and 2 catches with a Cooper's hawk, that in itself is commendable,
I appreciate it. Thank you.
So, well, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Happy to do it.
All right, partner.
See ya.
All right, so hi, what's your name?
My name is Hannah Dahl.
All right, Hannah. What kind of falconry do you do?
So I hunt squirrels with red tail.
All right, that's cool. What kind of dogs do you use for your falconry?
So mainly I use my Yog Terrier and sometimes my Cocker Spaniel.
Awesome. How do they contribute to your hunt? What do they do to help facilitate?
Okay, so my terrier kind of keeps squirrels moving if he sees them like running through the canopies, or if they bail from a tree and the bird misses, he's pretty good at tracking like where they went. And
so like when they let's say they come down and jump on the ground, like he'll push them back up. Yeah,
so I like having some pressure on the ground to keep the squirrel in the tree.
Okay.
Because I feel like that gives the bird a better chance, kind of to get some swipes at it.
So they're like at the bottom, jumping up and down, screaming. So you got a Yag Terrier, so these rascals scream a lot, not just barking, but screaming.
Yeah, barking and screaming, because the squirrels like to sit really still and try to hide from the squirrel or from the hawk. So sometimes just the hawk isn't enough pressure to get the squirrel to move. So the dog and us hitting the tree with like a stick and stuff usually makes the squirrel move, which then therefore the bird starts to chase it.
Gotcha. All right, and then like you said, if they come down, they'll pressure them back up.
Yep, or sometimes they'll just like hurry up and run to another tree, so it kind of gives you an idea, if I didn't see it or the bird didn't see it, of what tree they went to.
Right. All right, and then your cocker, same kind of thing with that, or?
I mean, yeah, she kind of just helps pressure stuff in the field. She isn't like, a squirrel dog, but she has a really good nose, so sometimes she can tell like if they were just freshly ran up a tree, and she'll kind of hang out around there, running around. But she's just easy. She's just an addition.
Awesome. And then do you have any issues with your dogs and or the hawk? Like eventually the bird's going to catch it and bring the squirrel down to the ground.
Yep. And
do you have any issues with the relationship with the bird and the dog when they're on the ground with the game? Like, walk me through that. What does that work? So the hawk brings the squirrel down, they hit the ground, the dog's there. What happens from there?
Okay, so with it's obviously pretty different with the terrier and the spaniel. The spaniel just naturally kind of stays away because she's kind of scared of the hawk, but the terrier still wants the squirrel just as much as the hawk does, so I usually kind of yell at him to like down, or kind of I recall him back before I get over there. sometimes he still, you know, ran up on there and gotten smacked in the face with a talon. But so he kind of knows to keep his distance, but he pushes a lot more than the Spaniel does. But I don't really mind it too much.
Right. All right, and then let's see. So how does your dog contribute? Your Yag, for example, your Yag before it's found. Like, does he flush them out of bushes, or is he actually going out and treeing them on their own, or is he responding to the hawk? Does he follow the hawk, or the hawk follow him? How does that work?
So they kind of follow each other after they've figured it out over time. So sometimes he'll like find a random squirrel on the ground and flush it, and occasionally he'll like have one treed, but I wouldn't say he's as good as like a Feist or something. Like he's not going to just go out and tree one and I just like walk out to them. So we kind of move like as a unit through the woods, and he kind of, you know, runs around, checks like the thicker stuff, and he'll look into the canopy too. And I think really flying with the bird taught him that to be pretty good of looking up. Yeah, because he can see the bird and he can hear the bells. So he's kind of put two and two together. Like, oh, sometimes I see the squirrel jumping through the canopy with the bird chasing it. So then he's figured out if I can look up and, you know, kind of keep his eye up.
Gotcha. All right, well, did I miss anything? Is there anything else you want to share? Is that about it? It sounds like.
I mean, sometimes they pull out raccoons.
Hey,
there's a raccoon
there you go.
and a hawk, or a possum and a hawk on the same thing, and that's always kind of fun, but not really at the same time.
Right.
That's kind of what you get with the terrier.
Has your hawk ever brought a raccoon down before?
No, she's kind of grabbed onto like a butt before, and the dog's grabbed onto it, and I try to rip them apart, but she has gotten possums.
Right.
They kind of give up, but
yeah. Well, awesome. That sounds great. Well, thanks for sharing with us. I do appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you.
All right. So, what's your name?
Yo. My name's Tony Sefferdini.
All right, Tony. What kind of falconry do you do, man?
I fly two different genres. I'm a long winger. I fly ducks and upland game with big falcons, gyr falcons, and hybrids. And I also fly a golden eagle on mostly jackrabbits.
Gosh. All right. So where do we start here? That's all super exciting. So all right. So how do you incorporate your dog? How does it contribute to you hunting?
Well, right now I'm kind of in between dogs. I flew my falcons with a golden Labrador Retriever, Boris, and he lived for 10 years and flushed a lot of ducks for me. And the falcons knew when I picked up, or he knew when I picked up my falconry birds that was time to go, flush some ducks. So
produce ducks, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just like some guys may pick up the shotgun and they know they're going for squirrels, and then if they pick up the rifle, they might be tracking bloody deer, and so your dogs are keying in on what bird you picked up.
It was crazy because I have a bunch of different birds, and he knew when I picked up my white hybrid that we were going duck hunting, and he was not being left home. So that's what I love about dogs, is just that drive to more of a drive to hunt than I have, which is
that's right. So
awesome.
So with the long wings, you'd get them up in the air and then send your dog into the pond to get them up out of the water? Or how's that work?
Yeah, basically my dog would help flush the ducks off these small ponds that my falcon was wading over. And those ducks saw that falcon in the air and they knew they were in trouble, and I needed the help of a dog swimming in the water to make those ducks leave the pond, which would give my falcon a chance to kill the ducks, and then in turn would give my dog a chance to have a duck in its mouth, which was like his favorite thing.
And that's something that a lot of people don't realize is, this is a natural predator. They have an instinctive fear for these falcons, for these raptors, and more so than us as humans. Sometimes they'll disregard us, throwing rocks or anything that could get a duck to go, and you actually need a dog to get in there to get them out.
Yeah, you absolutely need a dog to get those ducks to leave, because they knew that falcon up above them was gonna catch one, and they needed to be feared for their lives more than a rock or me clapping my hands.
I mean, because when we go out with gun hunting, I mean, if you just if you cough too loud, the ducks are gone.
Right.
You know, but when that falcon's up in the air, they're not leaving.
No,
they might even come out for a little while and turn around and dive right back in. Right?
Yeah, they're not leaving. They know that they're in huge trouble, and they know they could out swim me running around the pond.
Right.
They could probably outswim the dog running around the pond, but everything helped. So that's why I had a lab.
All right, well, that's neat. Okay, so then how did you use them with your eagle at all?
No, I never got a chance. I need a fast dog. A Labrador is not exactly the fastest dog.
So what are you chasing with your eagle?
Jackrabbits.
Okay, so then what's the plan then?
Well, as soon as a jackrabbit sees an eagle coming for them, they go to cover, and so having a fast dog keeps those jackrabbits running and gives the eagle a better chance of catching the jackrabbit.
That's right. And they'll even, if they do get, if you were to flush it by foot, and then the jackrabbit starts running, and then it sees that eagle coming, just like we talked about with that duck, they're going to stop behind the sage and kind of force the eagle to either crash in or something like that, which could cause problems, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been flying a same eagle for years now, and so he kind of knows what's going on. He'll pitch up and, wait, at altitude for the rabbit to get nervous and hopefully give me enough time to sort of clap him up or chase him out of the bush that they're hiding in.
Right. But that's the sight. That's what I need
dog. That's what I need a dog for, man.
Running.
Right. I'm blowing it. Eagle's doing his job. The dog needs to keep the rabbits running, not me. So I'm on the hunt for a fast dog. If you know anybody.
Yeah.
Sounds like you do.
I think there's a few out there. We'll have to talk to Seth about that, maybe.
Yeah. Hopefully they can take a beating from a golden eagle who's a total asshole, by the way.
That's right.
Guaranteed.
It's a big bird. Is it a female or a male?
No, it's a boy. His name's Jesus. And, he's really he's a great bird, and if a jackrabbit gets up, it's in huge trouble. But it'd be a lot bigger trouble if I had a dog to keep it running.
That's right.
It'd probably increase my take by 50%, I would guess.
That's right. Well, shoot, that was a lot of information, man. Tony, I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, man. Thanks for talking.
Yeah. All right. What's your name?
Chris Price.
Chris Price. Awesome. What kind of falconry do you do?
I do mostly small falcons on small birds, dove, snipe, those kind of things.
All right.
I've flown small falcon my whole life.
And what kind of bird do you use?
I'm using a small tiercel peregrine.
Tiercel peregrine. Okay. Well, hey, peregrine. That's the fastest animal on the planet, ain't it?
Sometimes they can be. They're supposed to be. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. All right. Okay. So how do you incorporate your dog with your falconry?
With mine, I spent a lot of years running in circles in a field trying to flush birds. When a falcon's in the air, the dove and the snipe hold tight. They're not going to flush.
Okay, so when you get out there, the falcon's up, the birds just...
The birds are holding tight. You can't get them to fly. You don't know. You know they're out there, but you can't see them. They're holding tight. You're running around, waving your arms. Nothing's happening. Your falcon's in there. It needs something. Because for years, I didn't have a dog.
Right.
And finally, it decided, I need something. I need something. So I ended up, my first dog was a Springer Spaniel. And it changed everything. All I needed was something to go out there and find birds and flush them. And that's how I use him. They're not pointing. You know the birds are out there. You put the falcon up. It waits, what we call wait on, 300 or 400 feet.
Is that where the bird just kind of hovers?
Yeah, the bird's up there circling over your head 300 or 400 feet. And then you let the dog out. You start into the field, and the dog, a Springer Spaniel, flushes. They're not going to point. They're flushers. Okay. So you're getting birds moving and the falcon's chasing.
But that's what they're good at, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, get them up right now.
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
Get them up and let the falcon get a chance to catch them. If the falcon misses, he's going to go back up and try again. And that's my main source for needing a dog.
Neat. And then you say shorebird, so this dog is in and out of water.
Yes. Now I fly both dove and snipe. Dove will be more in your dry, plowed, open fields, which you can feasibly get out there and flush those without a dog.
Right.
But a dog really helps just for covering the ground that you can't cover.
Mm-hmm.
And snipe, especially, you need a dog. You're hunting more rice stubble or wet grasslands that they're holding in and can hide, and you need something that'll get in there and flush them out.
Yeah, and not only that, but the dog's going to allow you to see and observe rather than you with your head down.
Oh, absolutely.
Waving your arms.
Absolutely, yeah.
You could send the dog in there, and then you just get to observe.
Absolutely.
We're all in this
Absolutely. They're actually the team. Once they figure it out, I had a purlin for years and a Springer that I could literally let them just out of the truck, lean back against the truck, and watch them go hawking.
Now, what's a purlin?
Purlin is a peregrine Merlin hybrid.
Okay, so that's a cross, right? So that's
yes.
a peregrine bred to a Merlin.
Yes, it makes for a small peregrine. You still fly it on a weight on where they're up waiting on they're soaring 300 feet or so above you.
Okay.
And while the dog's flushing the game.
Gotcha. And then they dive down, and how high again exactly?
Most time, 300 or 400 feet. Preferably higher, but
right.
But most flights are in that 300 to 400 feet.
Gotcha. Well, that's super neat. Well, thank you, Chris. I do appreciate it, man.
Hope it was helpful.
Yeah, thank you.
How many times do you hound doggers catch yourself thinking about an awesome hunt you had, or retelling this great story with family and friends around the dinner table, and all you have to remember that moment is some terrible cell phone picture, or worse, no picture at all? Well, Houndsman XP is partnered with Rough Cut Company to help solve your problem and make beautiful pieces of art to remember for all time your experiences in the field. Rough Cut Company is an American-owned and American-made business in Wisconsin that specializes in custom, unique photo engravings on hardwood that are framed to any picture you want. They also do customizable antler dog chews and even beautiful, unique antler rings from their own red deer in Wisconsin. Rough Cut Company can do pretty much anything you ask. Their customer service is second to none. Give them a look at roughcutcompany.com, and when you check out, make sure you check out with HXP 10% off to get a discount on your final purchase. Check them out, you guys, and support people that support houndsmen and help keep us in the field and remembering those times forever. Chad, that was a lot of fun, man. I am sad I couldn't make it. I really am. And I really enjoyed listening to those. There's a lot more, folks, and those are going to be airing in the Patreon page along with stuff from the Terrier Trials. I still have tons of interviews from the Terrier Trials. So I love listening to everyone's perspectives. Like you were saying earlier, no one's claiming to have all the answers, but I do love hearing people's opinions on these things because there's so many ways to do it, like you were saying, and it's just cool to see what works for one person and what works for another. And the dogs combined with the hawks, what an amazing way to be an incredibly effective hunter pre-firearms. That's what I always think about. It's so effective, and you do not need any kind of gunpowder-based weapon, or any weapon for that matter. Yeah, it was really cool. And even to talk about that, like, way back when, before we had gunpowder and everything, knights and shields and all that stuff, that's how they caught a lot of stuff, man. Yeah. Like quail and upland game and stuff that, you're not going to shoot it with a bow and arrow, like that's kind of how you got it, Yeah. It's amazing.
To feed the nobility, the rich folks, that's what they wanted. I want 5 quail today, like, I hope the goshawk's good, or I'm going to get beat with a stick, like, that's the way they made it. That's the way they made it happen, And then now I got a buddy, my classic redneck buddy that I went out and showed the squirrel hawking way back when with a red tail. And it was just one of those banging days, everything worked out. I got out of the truck, there was a squirrel running. I turned loose of the bird. He went right up. The squirrel made a bad mistake. We caught it. Boom, came down, traded it off. And then while I turned it off, I threw the bird right back up, and another one took off, and we caught that one. And he was like, man, we were 10 minutes in, and we got 2 dead squirrels without even firing a shot. And I was like, yeah, see, this is an effective means. You can have your bad days, but like you can also have your really good days. And there's folks like Tyler Sladen that goes out and will limit out on quail. He'll catch the state's limit on quail with his goshawk, his old goshawk's hash brown. So like it isn't just a novelty. Yeah, a long story that goes behind it. Yeah, you got a little bird named hash brown. Hey,
I got a couple questions. I was listening to all those interviews. I want to ask you some questions. Do you mind?
Yeah,
it's an eternal interviewer problem I have. But okay, this is my first question. How do you train the dogs to keep them from attacking the bird? Like, obviously, not every dog is gonna be able to do this, I don't think. But how do you keep them from killing the bird?
Yeah, fair enough. I would say any breed can do it. There's of course, dogs that just can't. But like I would say any breed. Like I say, I know of a guy that hunts with an English bulldog. I know of a guy that hunted with a pit bull. I know I like with these birds, and they tiptoe around the bird and won't even look at it hard. And there's a bubble a lot of birds have, and as long as you're outside of this distance, whatever that bird's distance is, everything's fine. And if the dog gets a little too close to it, it's going to start getting either scared or aggressive, and then like
the
when
hawk
you see
will get aggressive and claw at him or something, or bite him.
Oh, there's all kinds. Wow. Like I said, just like there's all kinds of dogs, there's all kinds of birds. And some, I've had a hawk that if the dog got too close, it would drop its rabbit and fly away immediately. It's not even going to give it a second look. It's just terrified of dogs. And then I've had other dogs that if the dog gets too close, it's going to drop its rabbit and grab a hold of the dog by its face.
Shit.
And
that hurts.
And they kind of they're kind of instinctive animals. There's some hard wires in there, and not all of them are flawless in it, but a lot of them know right where to grab it. They'll grab it on the top of the nose and the bottom of the nose, and the dog could paw it off or shake the heck out of it, but as is when it's caught, it can't bite the bird, and it's got 8 ice picks in its face.
Yeah.
And So anyway, there's dogs like if an English bulldog can walk up and go, oh, this bird likes me to stay 10 feet away, and I can't even look at it, but I can look out of the corner of my eye and see what's going on over there. Any of these dogs can learn as long as they've been raised the right way. Now, there's some that are just going to want to kill everything, but if you get them ahead of time and just put a little effort into it, any of them can learn.
It's just simple deconditioning or conditioning, I guess, and boundary setting.
Mm-hmm. And some of these dogs, depending on, how dog people are, and there's like founding, narratives about where this dog originated, but like there's some breeds that it's believed that they originated to support falconry. This is a falconry dog, a Vizsla specifically. There's a lot of people that are, big into it, and it's country of origin that say this dog was created to hunt with birds.
Yeah, that's right.
And so some of them, it's not far-fetched because that's what they were bred for. And then just over the course of years, like some of it's been bred out, others have had handles, but like you can hunt with any of them, man. There's English pointers, setters, Yag terriers. Like I said, I hunt with Yag terriers, man. Them things are wild. Like they generally have a kill it first, ask questions later rule, and you can sit those out of motion while they're chasing a rabbit to let the hawk go, and then like stand back 5 feet and just scream at it, but not come any closer. So they're just taught. You have to do a little bit of groundwork in the house, or in the yard, and teach them, no, they're a VIP. But if these like far, far more aggressive and wild breeds can learn to respect the bird and treat like hell. I have my Yag Terrier. I got videos, and I could even throw this up there too, where a young hawk will make a mistake. It's chasing the rabbit. The rabbit gets down in the hole right as the dog's getting there too. And the hawk's like, oh, I got it. And it'll grab the dog.
I saw that video. You were talking about it. And the hawk is riding your Yag. It doesn't even care.
It's grabbing a hold of it and just, like you said, like surfing around on the dog, And if a Yag Terrier of all breeds can be okay with a bird stabbing its little talons into its back of its head, and it's like, yeah, it's fine. It's just a bird.
They're still looking for the rabbit.
They can all learn it, but there's a bunch of different ways. There's a million ways to skin that cat, but mainly it's you teach the dog that the bird is the VIP. Now, it's really hard to teach the bird that the dog's the VIP, like they learn that there are means to an end. The bird will learn that the dog produces game, but I've had birds that if we don't get on them for a while and the bird happens to be kind of like extra angry that day, really wanting to get on one, maybe it made a loss or something, but they'll actually, and the dog, my beagles weren't pushing one. It would actually swoop down and with a closed foot, like strike the beagle right in the butt, man. He'd hit him right in the butt, man, right in the butthole, bro. I'm not lying. It would punch the dog right in the butt, and the dog's like, and the hawk goes right back up in the air, and it's like, there, now do it, and so they
feathery.
Harder to teach the bird to respect the dog outside of knowing that they're a meal ticket, but the dogs, dogs are brilliant. They can learn, this bird is a VIP and they belong. So, without getting into the specifics, you teach them, and any breed can be trained to hunt with the birds. Maybe not any dog, but any breed can do it if you just put a little effort in.
You kind of alluded to this earlier in the show, but like, what makes a falconry hunting dog different than a normal hunting dog, aside from you got to have these very clear boundaries placed on this guy is off limits 100%?
Mm-hmm. It all depends, and what like kind of like some of those questions, like what is your style? How do you like to catch these things? So range. A lot of times, like cockers, a cocker spaniel, like actual fieldbred working hunting cocker spaniels are really good for like goshawks, for example, because you don't want that dog out 600 yards and to get a pheasant up. We can't shoot those with a shotgun, right? That's why we have the cockers stay close. There's a lot of people that believe working cockers shouldn't get out past 30 or 50 yards because that's shotgun range.
Yep.
Don't get out further than that. I can't shoot it, and the same with the goshawk. We don't want to get out that far because we want to see it. I want to see this chase. So a lot of times you'll have dogs that work closer, or, some quail dogs, like some of Tyler's quail dogs will get way, way out, 1,000 yards out to find a quail and stand point until you can run over there with your bird.
Wow.
So a lot of them have a style, and then they learn, okay, this is what I want. This is the way I want to hunt. So a range is super important. A lot of times you're juggling this wild, literally 100% wild animal. And you need a real good handle on them, so that's something you'll notice about a lot of falconry dogs is they all mind really, really well. Just because you don't want to be like trying to catch the dog to get it back in the truck with this bird that's,
yeah, you need to have everything
offended.
on point. Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So like, generally a closer range, unless, you're in some specific situation, and a real good handle. Generally these are house dogs, like dogs that, live with the family, come in at night, like stuff like that, just because they can pick up on subtle nuances, things that aren't even commands, like just the way you're walking, the bird's acting like this, because the dog will key in with the bird as much as the bird's keying in on the dog. And, kennel dogs I got plenty of kennel dogs, don't get me wrong, but sometimes they aren't fluent and some of the body language of the bird and the dog. I mean, the bird and the human as like somebody that's around it,
That's a good point. They got to be extra intuitive. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they don't, I wouldn't say have to, but
it helps a lot.
They don't. Yeah. Well, not only does it help, it's just really, really, really cool to see the dog look at the bird and go, oh yeah, here it is. It's over here, And I mean, that happens with my falcon. And I like to hunt taller sage than I would be able to hunt with my sighthound sometimes.
Yep.
Because my dogs will chase it. And if they lose it, you'll see them like jumping up, looking up. Oh, there's a falcon, and they'll take off over there. And then if the bird loses it, it'll look for the dogs. And just watching that interaction is like what gets a lot of us to really geek out.
That's incredible. Interspecies cooperation, human, dog, falcon. That's incredible. And then horse, if you're mounted.
Yeah. And then that you're just bringing one more pony into the show,
This is a dog podcast, but for real, humans are an amazing creature. I mean, we have all these animals that are our partners to accomplish this one goal. It's incredible. Like, I love that. So anyway, I geek out on that kind of stuff. I really love that. And yeah, is there anything you need to let the world know about falcon dogs, my friend?
They're a thing. They're definitely a thing.
I have to see this, by the way. Yeah. I've seen it once with a Merlin and spaniels getting quail up, and it was super fun. but I need to see a jackrabbit sighthound falcon race. I just need to see that.
Oh, dude, you're gonna like it. You're gonna like it. Now I'm not gonna say it's gonna ruin you for it, because I like to go out. There's like, I was saying it earlier to somebody, it's one of the most just relaxing, like wholesome, carefree. Like I recharge when I just kick my sighthounds out of the truck and then go for a walk in the sage. You know, they aren't gonna run away. They aren't gonna leave me. They're not gonna go kill the cow or something. You know what I'm saying? Like just take it easy and enjoy it. You know, and just running the sighthounds is so much fun, you know, and it's refreshing. And I'll never not run just straight rabbit dogs, you know. But when you can tie the bird in every now and then, it's cool. To me, I like to joke about it. I'm like, it's like sighthounds with hot sauce, you know. So
I love that.
It'll never replace it, but it's a nice side dish as much as I can. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I think I covered everything as far as I think about falconry dogs. They're out there. They're a thing. They're unique, man. They're really cool. If you ever can, you know, talk to somebody that's got a legit dog that hunts with a hawk, you know, give it a shot. You know, go see the dog and bird work together, because it's something special. And every state has a falconry club. You know, every single state has a club. So go find them, go hunt with them.
When I made All Mixed Up, I knew that falconry was going to be a part of it, but I didn't think it was going to be one of the core like parts of the show. I'm loving it. Houndsman XP, we're the podcast of falconers, baby. I said it. So hey, Chad, dude, I love hearing about it. I felt like I was just listening to the show. You know what I mean? Like I felt like I was just listening to the podcast, and I just was lucky enough to have you on speed dial to ask you these questions. I love hearing about this stuff. I love learning about new things, and this world we live in, this lifestyle, it's so huge. There's so much content to cover. I feel like we still only touched the tip of the iceberg. I want to come hunting with you, and we can get some sweet video together, man. That will be very fun. If everyone can hear I've lost my voice, that's what happens when you go hunting with Michael Sula and you watch rock hard rabbits with the pedal down to the floor. I lost my voice.
Yep. Yeah, and I would love, like, if anybody is interested in hearing specifically, get on, tell us, let us know, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I got some guys that I'd like to get on. I already have some of my own ideas, but let's hear from you. You know, tell us, you know, there's you got a little snippet with all the interviews, but if there's something you want to hear about, let us know. We'll go get them.
Hawkers, post videos of your birds and your dogs together getting it done in the comments. We want to see it.
Yeah.
We want to represent you guys even more. I love it. Birds of a feather, they do talk together.
Right.
They kill together.
Mm-hmm.
Well, brother, I'm good, man. If there's anything else you need to go, you've answered everything I had and more. I had a list of questions here, and you went through it all, especially with the interviews. So, why don't you close this out, brother? This is your episode.
All right. Well, let's hunt them hard and treat them like heroes.
And then let them fly off your glove and go attack something.
Murder chicken.
There you go. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. We really appreciate every one of you listeners. We'll see y'all soon.